Hello everyone, good to see you. I just wanted today to talk about a topic that I love so dearly, which is psychedelic integration. And I'm going to give you some ideas of how to not change your life using psychedelics. And yeah, it comes from just the many years of seeing people do 16 ceremonies of ayahuasca, and they are skipping the most important part, which is actually the embodiment of the insights that they got. And I'm Marissa. If you don't know me, I'm a psychedelic guide, integration coach, and expressive arts facilitator, and I am trauma informed, and I am passionate about creating safe spaces for authenticity, for nervous system recalibration and connection, and also for the freedom of expression of what needs to be expressed. And so if you've ever done a psychedelic journey and you've taken the medicine, and then maybe for a few days afterwards you start to feel the shifts, but it's very subtle, and then all of a sudden everything goes back to normal, then you're not alone. And this is something that I guide my clients through all the time. In fact, I probably sat for 550 plus ceremonies by now at this point. I've trained with indigenous elders in Costa Rica and Canada and Mexico, and what is important to me is taking the insights from the medicine and actually making it a part of your life. And that means committed, consistent, and perfect action. So here are 3 ways that I know for sure that you're not going to change your life when you take your psychedelics. And that's 1, if you stop and don't do any sort of embodiment or any sort of embodied integration. That could look like changing your posture. That could look like walking to your kitchen like this. And so if you're going back to your old life and you're not actually creating ritual, creating a somatic, physical, embodied response to your journey, then the insights aren't going to stick. It's because it's like a felt place. It's experiential. It's something that you feel. So if I gave you a kitten and you touched it and played with it, it would be different than if I just told you about it. So because psychedelics offer that experiential felt sense of shift, that it makes sense then the integration process also has to follow the same concept. And so what I do is I help my clients create a score or rituals, embodiment practices to help make their life sacred and to help connect to that sense of God or source, or deep connection of self-nourishment, self-satiation, so we can rewire the patterns of self-abandonment and self-betrayal and avoidance, and come back to a space of having the capacity to really hold anything and everything, all the emotions, all the bigness and smallnesses and judgments and fears and loves, and to hold all of it and hold this paradox and be able to come to it from a space of openness, compassion, and non-judgment. And that's like self-energy. So you can change through your posture. You can also use your voice. So you can make a song for a part of yourself that you met in ceremony, and I do that stuff all the time. So that's 1. So if you're skipping your embodied integration, then you can be sure that you're not going to those insights aren't going to land, and you're probably going to want to come back to the ceremony multiple times, and you're probably going to get the same message. And that's happened to me multiple times too, as I did 4 ceremonies within the span of 2 years, but they all had the same message, and the message was do a detox. And I waited and didn't do a detox, and then I finally did a detox, and then I came back to the medicine, and the medicine was like, yeah, good job on the physical thing, but there's still an energetic parasite and it's up there. And so I drew it, so I got to know it. So that's like one real life example of how I've worked with parts of myself that I've met in ceremony and actually embodied and ritualized the process of building relationship with it. Because that's what this is all about. This is about building relationship with parts of yourself. And really anything and everything, it's all about relationship. So here's the second one. The second one is that you don't change your environment after you get out of the psychedelic journey. Now, I took a really big risk, and I quit my corporate job, and I started my business full time, and I, ended up breaking up with my long-term partner, and all these shifts happened for me. And also, you don't have to do anything that drastic. I mean, granted, if you're in a toxic relationship and the journey brings up that, you know, this is probably not the right person for you, then maybe you want to start making some shifts and changes in that direction and getting support for that. But I mean, like changing up your furniture, like creating an altar space in your house. Maybe that's instead of working from home, now you work like from the park. You know, like changing your environment can mean many different things. It can also mean changing who you talk to in your relationships. So we talked about making sure that you're not skipping the embodied integration, 2, making sure that you're changing your environment. And you can also change your environment through smell too. Like I can light this sage. Universe and guides of the highest positive vibration and caliber, please surround us in a beautiful healing golden white light, surrounded by a beautiful green light, surrounded by Saint Germain's violet flame, that we may be protected and shielded from anything and anyone on any time, space, continuum, only allowing love and light in and out of our protective shield and vortex bubble. So it is, you know, just something like that. I say that every day, so it's like, you know, a flow. Anyway, so I'm going to tell you the third one. And the third one is to treat your psychedelic experience like an event instead of a relationship. What does that mean? Well, if you're just going to an event, you know, like it's like this big spectacular thing and you have all these high expectations and you're putting all this like pressure on this one experience, you might miss the subtleties and what the medicine is actually trying to share with you. And oftentimes the medicine can be softer and it doesn't have to be so explosive and loud. And honestly, when we do this work with the intention of building our capacities in our nervous system, it takes a lot more time for the nervous system and the body to catch up with where the mind's at. So intellectually, you can know what's going on and what your patterns are that are keeping you stuck. But for some reason or another, like your body still has that same reaction, or your emotional response is still like the same. And that's because it takes time and patience to rewire those patterns. And psychedelics give you a portal and an opening and a window to understanding those aspects of yourself in a much deeper way. And also, it is something that is a relationship with the medicine over time. And just like you would build a relationship with a tree, or your relationship to your cat, or you know, like or your friends, any relationship. You're going to spend that time and commitment and devotion and honesty and integrity, all those components of what makes a healthy relationship, and you start to build that with the medicine versus like going, you know, just doing like 4 different journeys, you know, just because you are bored and want something to do. It's like all about the intention here. So it is about right relationship. It's about sacred reciprocity. It's about really honoring and the process and making it sacred for yourself, and realizing that you're a conscious co-creator and that you can take your power back and your sovereignty and co-create your life with the support of the medicine. So the medicine's not going to do the work for you. It's going to lead you to the door, and it's the embodied integration, and it's creating ritual, and it's rewiring the nervous system, and it's creating safe space for your emotions to be expressed and released, and it's unblocking your ancestral patterns. And there's so many different ways and that you can get to where you want to go, but it's not about getting there. It's about the journey. It's about the process of becoming and enjoying that process and making fun with it and making art with it and sharing it with others, and really learning how to enjoy the process versus trying to chase the high. So that's my 2 cents for you. And if you're struggling with integrating your psychedelic experiences, or maybe you've never done psychedelics before, I invite you to book a free call in the link in my bio. This is something I'm really passionate about. It's changed my life, and it's changed so many of the clients that I work with in their lives. And like I said, the medicine is just one tool in the toolbox. It's about how you use it and how you build relationship to it. And I like to help people feel educated and empowered around the use of safe psychedelic usage. And I'm here to support as a resource. And if you don't already know, I have bi-weekly group calls every other Monday at 6 p.m. over Zoom for psychedelic integration support. So if that's something that you're interested in, again, that's information's on my website at marissaskolke.com, or you can choose the link in my bio. Take care, everyone.